From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, this is Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Riley Smith. In today's show, Mark has another clip from the latest episode of Pods of Potential. I visit with Iowa Congressman Randy Feenstra, and Dustin talks with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig about National Ag Day. Now it's time to join our hosts, Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman.
Well, a happy National Ag Day to everybody out there. I'm Dustin Huffman and joined by Mark Magnuson here on Iowa Ag Matters. Of course, today, one of the days we spend a lot of time recognizing the work that farmers and the agriculture industry does to help put food on our plates, clothes on our back, and fuel in our vehicles. And that is something we will be talking about a little later on with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig as he joined me this morning for a discussion. But Mark, again, a great time after the first day of spring before planting gets going in earnest to really have that chance to say thank you to our farmers and appreciate the hard work they do for all of us.
Certainly, Dustin. This is a great time to, sit back, take a little bit of time for that recognition before things get really busy with the planting season. And we talked about it yesterday, but you're going to be at a farmer appreciation luncheon coming up in Eastern Iowa tomorrow. And we didn't talk about it, but there will be a panel discussion at that event, and you're going to actually be leading that panel discussion. Could you give us a little bit of a preview? Are there any topics that you're hoping to specifically discuss, or are you just going to leave it open to pretty much anything that affects Iowa farmers and then, I guess, pick up the ball and run with it?
Well, I think a lot of it's going to be talking about where do we sit right now as we're getting ready to put the crop in the ground. And again, the concerns that we have that could be affected later on down the road, depending on what the global situation is. I mean, like we said, we've talked about fertilizer, for an instance, but the problem is it's mostly going to be a fall issue more than a spring issue because most of the producers have their chance to get their supplies booked already. But again, it is getting the supply to the farmer could be a problem as well. But I think it's going to be mainly because there's so much to think about, whether it's the trade war, whether it's the situation in Iran, whether it is USMCA rediscussions going on this year. There are so many things out there that farmers are paying attention to. I think the message from the ag industry has been we've gotten some good things out of some of these trade deals. We realize we're part of a greater economy as a whole, but we also have been happy with what we've gotten. But also there has been situations where we still can't be doing this much longer. We told the administration a year ago that if there's going to be any kind of tariff situation or trade war, prolonged trade war, we couldn't sustain for very long, but we were willing to do our part kind of for the greater good of the whole American economy. But again, we're a year later and nothing's really changed. And so we've got that situation to talk about as well. So a lot of it's going to be talking about what farmers are dealing with, showing some appreciation to those folks, and looking forward to seeing everybody out there in the Cattle Congress Pavilion at Waterloo with the KXCL Farmer Appreciation Luncheon. Secretary Naig will be there as well, so he'll be addressing the crowd before the panel gets started. Looking forward to some lively conversation with some of AG's leaders here in the state.
And a reminder that you can go to KXCL's website and sign up if you would like to attend that event. It is open to all. Of course, it is going to be a very ag-focused discussion and event. And Dustin, just thinking out loud too, going back to your fertilizer point, I honestly don't know the answer to this question. Maybe you do. If we were to wake up, I don't know, a week from today, 2 weeks from today, and the conflict in the Middle East had stopped at least, the major offensive as far as the United States is involved in, would that still affect then the fall, or would it be already enough that there's been too much disruption, too much in the way of moving products through those shipping lanes that there's already going to be issues in the fall no matter what?
If I had the answer to that question, Mark, I'd be in a different tax bracket. But I would say that it's going to be an interesting wait and see kind of situation. If it were to end in 2 weeks, you're looking at just the beginning of the planting season. So it'd have time to relax, let things settle down. And maybe we would be looking at by late summer when these products are moving back to our retailers that we would see some kind of an easement of the situation. Of course, Congress, Senator Grassley is a part of a bipartisan group trying to bring some relief for producers with the fertilizer and fuel costs. But again, it's going to be, it took a while to wind, it didn't take a whole long time, but it did take a little bit to wind things up. It's going to take some time to relax those again. So it is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, what it's going to do for the markets. There's a lot of what ifs in the air that just simply having a ceasefire or an end to the conflict is not necessarily going to be a magic cure-all pill. Let's go ahead and jump into the grain markets right now. Mark is talking with Joe Camp of Comstock Investments.
Joined today by Joe Camp of Comstock. Joe, what's happening with the trade in the grains?
A split, rather quiet grain trade, at least for now. Long session to go. Still a lot of week left as well. But you have corn a little bit higher, soybeans a little bit lower, and Chicago wheat futures exactly unchanged as we speak. We've got different inputs for different crops, certainly, and starting to separate that out as we transition forward into spring. Of course, we know about the upcoming planting season, that already rolling down south, but soon to catch traction up around the Midwest, and will really begin turning wheels in earnest now that the official start of spring has led us into some higher temperatures as well. That's what the 2-week forecast promises. Rather warmer and a little bit wetter weather too, by the way. We know lingering drought is a problem we're going to keep an eye on. But you think about the planting rotations between the crops, that's definitely something that's the subject of the upcoming prospective planning survey report, what farmers intend to plant and how much we'll see shifting from corn to soybeans this year. Right now, expectations somewhere between 4 or 5 million acres from corn to soybeans. So the separation of the markets that way being talked about. And then relative to wheat, of course, coming off of a winter crop, we talked about how dry it is in places. So crop prospects now being closely monitored for that crop as well as we talk about the planting season for corn and soybeans. So something for everybody. It's good to be discussing the fundamentals, even that we're approaching the planting season, that we're thinking about this crop report, because of course there's so much more that's going on outside of the grain space that is dictating these money flows. Again, rather quiet for now.
Your local radio station brings you the local news you depend on. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network complements that with ag news, weather, and market updates tailored for Iowa's farmers. Together, we deliver the best of both worlds, local connection and industry expertise. It's all to keep you connected with the heartbeat of the heartland. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, connecting rural Iowa with the news that matters to you.
Back on Iowa Ag Matters, time to get more from the latest episode of Pods of Potential, which is out on iowaagnet.com. Mark Magnuson talking about research with the Iowa Soybean Association.
Today's topic of discussion is 2025's research trial results and insights. And I'm here today with our friends at the Iowa Soybean Association's Research Center for Farming Innovations, Technical Insights Manager Rosie Cook, and also joined by Clay County farmer Paul Castle. And to the initial point as well about continuing education when you were at the Iowa State University Extension Office, that fact that farmers need to adapt over the years because there's always things changing in farming. I mean, growing season to growing season. For example, you talk about no-till, the number of farmers that have picked up that practice over the years, we've seen it grow exponentially. I mean, there's just so many things in farming that change, some of the trends, but then some of those long-term effects as well. You do need to always be learning as a farmer, don't you?
Yeah, there's just a lot to learn. We could speak to the precision agriculture things, like you mentioned, no-till or whatever. There's a fair amount of strip till in this neighborhood here, and it's really the precision ag or the auto steer technology allowed people, and the repeatability allowed people to be able to do that fall fertilizer application and with some strip tillage and plant into it. We didn't used to have that, so that really helped that. And then, of course, the herbicide technology, Roundup Ready, promoted a lot of no-till soybean production because we knew we had the weed management. Now that's changed because the weeds changed and the weeds wised up to us, but we still were able to do that with some of the newer herbicide technology, the Enlist and those types of traits too. So again, a lot of technology has changed, enabled us to, be more timely. We've had some challenging springs. We all know what happened in Spencer on June 24th of 24, had a floods. But so timeliness becomes even more critical because sometimes we've seen like smaller planting or windows of opportunity for planting. So timeliness has been very important.
All right. So thank you guys both for a little bit of background as we dive into today's topic, which again is research insights from the past year, from 2025. And Rosie, we've got a lot to talk about today when it comes to research, but could you kind of give us the overall viewpoint about research programs at Iowa Soybean Association, where they're happening, when they're happening, why they're so important?
Absolutely. So at the Iowa Soybean Association, we have a team of research agronomists that work with farmers across the state to implement our research trials. And we do different trials looking at different management factors, different product efficacies, seeding rates, seeding dates, basically anything that might help implement and affect your productivity, your profitability, or your sustainability. We're probably looking into it. So our research agronomists can only do their work because of our team of analysts. So we've got 3 to 4 analysts on staff, and they are doing all of the trial design. So all of our research trials are done at a replicated field scale level. So when we do multiple randomized replications across the field, looking and comparing different treatments, that helps support the statistical validity and the science behind the work that we're doing. And all of this is done in thanks to our team of analysts, which do all of the statistical processing to make sure all of our research results are valid when we're sharing them in podcasts like these and physical reports like we'll talk about, and also at different field events we do throughout the winter and summer months as well.
And then from the farmer perspective as well, it's got to be nice to know that it's a third party, it's Iowa Soybean Association, not involved with a company or
Yes.
the agribusiness side. So it makes it a non-biased research project,
Yes,
correct?
absolutely. That non-biased perspective really helps us. And when we're sharing results, as you'll hear a little bit later on in this episode, we're not afraid to share if results do or do not generate that yield. We want to be very factual and very scientific in everything that we're sharing, and maintaining that reliability as that third-party researcher is critically important to us at the Iowa Soybean Association.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
It's time now to run down those basis numbers for you here on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, we're not seeing very much change at all in the elevator bids. Most of them have gone up a little bit in their corn and soybean bids that have made changes. Only one went to a lower direction. Let's go ahead and see how they're pricing today. ADM Burlington 20 cents under on corn, $4.40. Soybeans 45 cents under at $11.11. Cargill Eddyville 21 cents under on corn. Cash bid $4.39. New Co-op Algona 46 cents under on corn, $4.14. Soybeans 80 cents under. Cash bid $10.76. Ag State Sheldon 30 cents under on corn, $4.30. Soybeans 90 cents under, $10.66. Ag State Elta 47 cents under on corn. Cash bid $4.13. Soybeans 85 cents under, $10.71. Cargill Cedar Rapids 17 cents under on corn, $4.43. Soybeans 30 cents under, cash bid $11.26. 5-Star Co-op Nashua 30 cents under on corn, $4.30. Soybeans 71 cents under, they're at $10.85. Lincoln Way Energy Nevada 28 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.32. ADM Des Moines 40 cents under on soybeans, cash price there $11.16. New Co-op Red Oak 37 cents under on corn, $4.23. Soybeans 78 cents under, $10.78. At Mid-Iowa Cooperative Green Mountain, they're 48 cents under on corn, $4.12 for the cash bid. Soybeans 85 cents under, $10.71. New Co-op Sheraton 37 cents under on corn, $4.23. Soybeans 78 cents under at $10.78. Walk-On Feed Ranch 45 cents under on corn, $4.15. Soybeans 73 cents under at $10.83. New Co-op Glidden 45 cents under on corn, $4.15 for the cash bid. Soybeans 78 cents under at $10.78. Innovative Ag Farley 48 cents under on corn, $4.12. Soybeans 74 cents under at $10.82. And finally at Cargill and Muscatine, they're 20 cents under on corn, cash bid $4.40. Soybeans 52 cents under with a cash bid of $11.04. Cash corn and soybean bids are subject to change without notice. Always check with your local elevator when making sales to obtain the most recent price. And that's been a check of your cash corn and soybean bids here on Iowa Ag Matters. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Stay informed with the closing market report from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your essential summary of the day's market activities and their impact on the agricultural economy. Join us for timely updates and expert commentary on commodity prices and market trends, with trusted ag market analysts from around the Midwest. Tune in every Monday through Friday on your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate for your daily market recap and insights to stay ahead in the ag economy.
Listening to the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. You can find us online at iowaagnet.com. It is time now for Dustin Huffman's conversation with the Iowa Secretary of Agriculture, Mike Naig, as they discuss National Ag Day. Here's Dustin with more.
Well, we're here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and it is time for our monthly sit-down with Iowa Agriculture Secretary Mike Naig. Secretary, thanks so much for taking the time to visit with us here on National Ag Day of all days.
Yeah, absolutely. Always great to talk, and happy National Ag Day. And actually, it's Iowa Agriculture Week, and so it's a wonderful time to celebrate and recognize our hardworking farm families, but also the whole agriculture community that surrounds those hardworking farmers, and a time to remember and a time to really promote the fact with non-farmers that everyone benefits from a strong and growing agriculture. And that's not just true in Iowa. It's true, really, frankly, all around the world.
You know, we have those celebrations usually around the first day of spring, you know, around National Ag Week, National Ag Day, you know, right before we're going into the fields. I mean, how important is it, especially now, to get that message across to the consumers? Because you see so much on social media. I know we've talked about this in the past, that people that just don't get it, that are spewing misinformation about what we're doing out there.
You know, I think we try to take a bigger picture look here and say, look, it is okay. It's understandable even for people to have questions about water quality and about nutrition and about health and all kinds of issues that people want to know, and they have questions about what happens in agriculture. That's okay. Food's a very personal issue. It's a necessity. Water's an essential. And for people to have questions or want to know more about what that impact from agriculture is I think that's okay. But then we have to, and what we hope is that people are open to listening to and hearing us out on the truth, the facts, explaining what we do, how we do those things. And I don't think we should be defensive at all. I just think we should be open and very honest about all of our efforts to produce that safe, affordable, abundant food supply, and to also do the right things on our farms when it comes to conservation and water quality. There's a lot of great work happening. More needs to happen, but we got to maintain that trusting relationship between the farmer and the consumer. And a lot of work has been put into that over the years, and we need to continue to really focus on that and push hard to make sure that we're communicating with consumers.
And of course, as you mentioned, it's also Iowa Ag Week. And of course, we got to make sure we're sending out a lot of thanks to the people that produce all kinds of agricultural products in the state and do everything they can to help fuel us, feed us, and keep us clothed.
Absolutely. And again, we have a diverse agriculture here. Yes, we're known for those corn, soybean, pork, beef, dairy, eggs, but we also have a really growing and thriving and exciting specialty crop and direct-to-consumer sector. You and I have talked a lot about what's happening around Choose Iowa and all the great things, chooseiowa.com, where you can find the kind of diversity of everything from fruit and veg and flowers and beekeeping, milling, brewing, distilling, all those types of winemaking, all those types of things. But also, I think the calling card, if you will, the hallmark of Iowa agriculture has been around value-added agriculture. So taking those commodity crops that we grow so well in this state and turning that into high-quality protein or ethanol or biodiesel or bio-based chemicals and materials. That's really what makes us, I think, special, is that we take that commodity and we turn it into something of higher value. And that's certainly where we have to continue to look at going forward, is expanding that value add opportunity, expanding the diversity, and really connecting better with what people need here in Iowa, around the United States, and really around the globe.
And of course, with it being the 250th birthday of the country, you know, it's even more important to highlight the impact that agriculture's had on growing this civilization here.
Absolutely. And we're really trying to put that theme together with ag, and certainly with Ag Week and our Ag Leaders Dinner that's coming up next week. We'll have an America 250 theme to it, but you're going to see this carry all the way out through county fairs and state fairs, the state fair, not state fairs plural, but and a harvest festival this fall. You're going to see us try to bring this America 250 concept together with food and agriculture. Look, you go back to the beginning of this country, things that set us apart. Of course, farmers, our founders, many of our founders were farmers. Many of the people that first picked up arms to go and fight for our freedom and to defend our liberty were farmers and rural people. And then you switch and you say, then the American farmer switched to sustaining this country. We couldn't be who we are as a country. You couldn't have American exceptionalism, American greatness, the ability to pursue the American dream if you don't have a stable food and agriculture, a stable energy supply. Those things set us apart. And even we're seeing in the world today, there are places that do not have that kind of stability, don't have that kind of self-sufficiency that we do. It really does set us apart. I just think it's important to remember that, both in the America 250 context, but also just in our daily lives, and certainly as we're talking about Ag Day and Ag Week.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
Well, on Friday, we got the latest cattle on feed report, the March cattle on feed report, and it showed February placements of 1.61 million head, which was actually a 4% increase over 2025, and it exceeded analyst expectations before the report. The March 1st total on feed inventory was 11.55 million head. That is 0.3% below last year. And you hear that placements number, Dustin, a little bit surprising. But I was hearing from Michael McConnell of USDA. He's a livestock analyst, and he mentioned you also have to remember that at this year last time was about when we started to have the issues with the border between the United States and Mexico and slowing down that importation of feedlot cattle, or I should say of feeder cattle from Mexico. So that does change the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, that it does. And that's something we've been dealing with now for about a year. And of course, we're talking about the possibility of reopening that border. Of course, a long way to go yet, but hopefully they can get that success with the screwworm taken care of, and we can get things back to a somewhat business as normal, at least for the producers around the country and down in Mexico. More Iowa Ag Matters coming up in just a moment.
Your local radio station brings you the local news you depend on. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network complements that with ag news, weather, and market updates tailored for Iowa's farmers. Together, we deliver the best of both worlds, local connection and industry expertise. It's all to keep you connected with the heartbeat of the heartland. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, connecting rural Iowa with the news that matters to you.
This is the Midday Market Update on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson, joined at midday by Brandon Doherty of Total Farm Marketing. Brandon, what's happening with the trade in the grains?
Kind of mixed this morning. Currently, corn's up a little bit, beans down just a little bit. There is maybe some bear spreading going on with beans. The front months are down harder than the back months. And wheat seeming to try and claw its way back, still down about a penny in the Chicago class, but off of its lows. So again, I think the large thing that's been driving markets recently has been the Iran conflict and energy prices, and crude oil is making a bit of a rebound today, currently up around $3.50 to $3.70 a barrel. So that might be giving a little bit of a boost to the grains, keeping them off those lows from earlier today. Aside from that, I think the trade is still awaiting clarity from the EPA regarding the biofuels. There is supposed to be a meeting at the end of this week at the White House, some type of agricultural event where the EPA may issue some more clarity on the RVO and small refinery exemption policies.
What's happening on the livestock side of the trade?
Higher in cattle, a little bit lower in hogs. As far as the recent cattle on feed report, it was a little bit bearish, but market seems to have kind of brushed that off to some degree. Box beef prices have been kind of choppy, so the cattle market in general has been kind of back and forth the past few sessions, but in a bigger picture perspective, it's been in an uptrend since early March. So we're right at about where several of the moving averages are converged here on some of the charts. So we'll see if that area can hold as support or if we break out above that as resistance. As far as the hogs go, tried to regain some losses, but kind of ran out of steam Monday. Hog futures have held technical support, which may trigger some buying interest, but from a big picture perspective, that market is still in a downtrend.
What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch for more marketing information?
The best way is to call us at 800-334-9779.
Brandon Doherty, Total Farm Marketing, my guest here at Midday. Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
Farmers, stay on top of your local market with Basis Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Every day, we bring you the latest corn and soybean cash prices from inland grain elevators and river terminals across Iowa. Get the prices you need to make the best-selling decisions, no matter where you are in the state. Basis Matters connects you to the numbers that matter most to your farm. Tune in every weekday only on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network and make informed grain marketing decisions with Basis Matters.
May corn up 2 3/4 at $4.62 1/4. May soybeans down 4 3/4 at $11.58 3/4. May soybean meal down $4.70 at $321.90. May soybean oil up 41 cents at $65.99. Chicago wheat down a penny at $5.86 3/4. Minneapolis wheat up 4 cents at $6.31. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 1/2 at $6.04 3/4. May oats down 6 1/4 at $3.33 1/4. On the Merc, April live cattle up 35 cents at $235.65. April feeder cattle up 3.28 at $355.75. April lean hogs down 10 cents at $90.70. That was a check of the midday markets on Iowa Ag Matters. I'm Mark Magnuson.
Well, we're going to get back into the marketplace here on Iowa Ag Matters. Take a look at what's happening in those cattle and hog markets here, as the situation for hogs has been a little bit tough in the last couple of days. Joe Camp of Comstock Investments rejoins that conversation with Mark Magnuson.
What's happening on the livestock side of the trade?
We've got livestock mixed as well, but now taking on a mostly lower stance. The cattle market responded in cattle on fade type response to the report that we had on Friday, which leaned more bearish than anything because of the placements actually being up on the year. This is the first time in about a year that placements had actually risen. Putting it into context, though, last February the numbers were historically low, so it's just an increase on that, and not necessarily a huge sign of the herd rebuilding effort gaining any traction here. And for that reason, in part, you've got the bullish turnaround on Monday and this idea that the futures had gotten to a point where they were discounted far enough below the cash trade. If we look at where the beef is performing well and that incentivizing packers to step up their bids a bit, then you can have a fundamental justification for what the cattle are doing here at the start of the week, which is going mostly higher. We have to think about those outside financial markets, though, with the livestock as well, and to see the stock futures having a weaker start, that it seems for now on Tuesday limiting the upside. Same with hogs being just a touch lower so far as well.
Joe, a lot to keep track of right now. What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch for more marketing information and all the resources from Comstock?
Yeah, our contact info, our access to our Comstock report, it's all up at comstock.com.
Joe Camp of Comstock Investments, my guest here today. Thanks so much for the time. Always appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you next time.
Stay up to date with the latest in the ag industry with Agribusiness Matters from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Each weekday, we bring you the latest advancements in farming, from new precision ag technology to cutting-edge sustainable farming practices. Agribusiness Matters is also your source for the most relevant ag news, policy discussions, and insights that are shaping the future of agriculture. Tune in to Agribusiness Matters on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Hi, my name is Ethan Smith, and I've been a certified crop advisor in Iowa for about 6 years. The Iowa CCA program is valuable to me because it helps keep me informed on new topics and research around the industry, including soils, insects, diseases, and much more. It's also a great way to network with others around the state and beyond. Iowa is known for its crops, and that's why we're here. To learn more about becoming a certified crop advisor, visit iowacca.org.
In rural Iowa, we know you're sold on your local radio station. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network partners with local Iowa stations to deliver the latest in agriculture news, including grain elevator prices, market reports, and ag policy news. Trusted local voices, trusted ag content. This message is brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
Well, we're back on Iowa Ag Matters. As we said, it's National Ag Day and continuing the recognition for that. And we're going to be hearing now from Iowa Congressman Randy Feenstra as he talks about the situation and what Iowa's farmers are doing to contribute to the national agriculture industry as a whole.
Riley Smith, Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, on the phone right now with Iowa Congressman Randy Feenstra. And Congressman Feenstra, it's great to talk with you as always. I know you have a great announcement for today on Tuesday. Got that Farmers for Feenstra Coalition. Go ahead and tell us about this announcement and what all you've got going on there.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ryan, it's great to be on Iowa Ag Radio. This is a great announcement. This is on National Agriculture Day, which is today. We're doing Farmers for Feenstra. This is a coalition of about well over 100 farmers getting together from all major commodity and livestock sectors, whether it be corn and soybeans, cattle, hogs, turkeys, biofuels, dairy, eggs. And what we're trying to do is have everybody understand that Iowa's backbone is agriculture. All right. When it comes to growing our economy, it starts with agriculture. And we want to make sure that we are delivering results for ag at the federal level and at the state level. And that's what we're trying to push out here is saying, hey, Iowa's number one when it comes to eggs and hogs and corn and biofuels. We're number 2 in soybeans, 7 in turkeys, number 10 in beef. I mean, we really got it going, but we can do a lot more. And that's what we're trying to do is become the most business and ag-friendly state in the country. And it starts with a great coalition of farmers working together and creating this campaign of ag first.
And I think that's, like you mentioned, a great thing to have for today, National Ag Day. And something else that has been top of mind recently has been that Farm Bill. We've seen the Farm Bill 2.0 get put through the House Ag Committee, looking as that's continuing to develop. And as far as we know, there's some wins for Iowa agriculture in there, right?
Oh, there's some great wins for Iowa agriculture in there. And, you know, the great thing is it was a bipartisan bill coming out of the Ag Committee. I sit on the Ag Committee, and we had 7 Democrats vote with us Republicans to get that bill passed. So now we believe that we can get it out of the House pretty easily. And now the Senate's saying, hey, maybe we take up, instead of doing our own, maybe we take up the House bill. So this is great. And President Trump just called to pass the Farm Bill quickly. So we want to get this done. And you think about all the big pieces and components that are here for Iowa, that this Safe America Food Export, meaning that it codifies USDA's role in negotiating regionalization agreements for livestock exports in the unaffected areas of the country that don't have disease outbreak. I mean, this is really big, especially in our cattle and hog markets. When it comes to Farmland Act, enhances oversight for foreign land ownership. You know, you think of China and other adversarial countries. This creates transparency and reporting. Again, we want to make sure that Iowa farmland stays in the Iowa farmers' hands. And then that Farmers First Act expands behavioral health services for rural health for farmers in crisis, that they can access trained professionals. And then finally, the one I'm really excited about, these are all my bills too, the Fridge Act. If we want to export more, we got to make sure the refrigeration is in Africa and other key developing countries. And this cold chain storage at port really will help Iowa beef and chicken and turkey and pork and dairy. And so this is part of that farm bill. And again, that will help our trade nation worldwide. And that's why we got to get this farm bill passed.
Right, and we are hoping to get good news on that coming up soon. We know it can take a little bit for legislation to get through, but we are excited to hear more about that. Another thing we're excited to hear about is the upcoming White House Ag Week event. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so on Friday, President Trump called all of ag congressional members, myself and a few others, to the White House to talk about several things, securing fair fair trade deals, supporting E15 year-round. We're trying to figure out how we reduce that fertilizer cost. That's the number one issue I'm hearing around the state right now is we got to get that fertilizer down. A lot of guys don't have that booked yet for this year, so we got to really work on that. And then also, President Trump wants to talk about how we continue to work with that death tax, that $15 million that we have right now that is exempt. We want to get that even higher. So these are all key priorities that we're going to talk about at the White House this coming Friday.
In rural Iowa, we know you're sold on your local radio station. The Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network partners with local Iowa stations to deliver the latest in agriculture news, including grain elevator prices, market reports, and ag policy news. Trusted local voices, trusted ag content. This message is brought to you by your friends at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, where Iowa Ag matters.
We had a latest segment from Pods of Potential, this month's episode on the show earlier today. And a reminder, you can find that podcast on our website at iowaagnet.com. We will have the April episode for you coming up in just a few days. You've been listening to Iowa Ag Matters. Thanks for joining us. Thank you to Dustin. Thank you to Riley. I'm Mark Magnuson. You've been listening to Iowa Ag Matters right here on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Join us again tomorrow for more.